Chapter 6 Summary Outline. Introduction. Organs such as membranes are composed of two or more kinds of tissues. The skin is an organ. Together with its accessory organs, it continues the integumentary system. Types of membranes. Serous membranes. Serous membranes line body cavities that lack openings to the outside. Cells of serous membranes secrete watery serous fluid that lubricates membrane surfaces. Mucous membranes. Mucous membranes line cavities in tubes that open to the outside of the body. Cells of mucous membranes secrete mucus. Synovial membranes. Synovial membranes line joint cavities. They secrete synovial fluids that secretes the ends of the bones and joints. The cutaneous membrane is the external body covering commonly called the skin. Skin and its tissues. Skin is a protective covering, helps regulate body temperature, retards water loss, houses sensory receptors, synthesizes various biochemicals, and excretes waste. It is composed of an epidermis and a dermis separated by a basement membrane. Epidermis. The deepest layer of the epidermis, called the stratum basale, contains the cells that divide. Epidermis cells undergo keratinization as they mature and push towards the surface. The outermost layer, called the stratum corneum, is composed of dead epidermal cells. The epidermis protects underlying tissue against water loss, mechanical injury, and the effects of harmful chemicals. Melanin protects underlying cells from the effects of ultraviolet light. Melanocytes transfer melanin to nearby epidermal cells. Skin color. All people have about the same concentration of melanocytes. Skin color is due largely to the amount of melanin and the distribution and size of pigment granules in the epidermis. Environmental and physiological factors as well as genes influence skin color. Dermis. The dermis binds the epidermis to underlying tissues. Dermal blood vessels supply nutrients to all skin cells and help regulate body temperature. Nerve fibers are scattered throughout the dermis. Some dermal nerve fibers carry impulses to the muscles and glands of the skin. Other dermal nerve fibers are associated with sensory receptors in the skin, carry impulses to the brain and spinal cord. The dermis also contains hair follicles, sebaceous glands, and sweat glands. The subcutaneous layer. The subcutaneous layer lays beneath the dermis consists of loose, connective, and adipose tissue. Adipose tissue helps conserve body heat. The subcutaneous layer contains blood vessels that supply the skin and underlying adipose tissue. Hair follicles. Each hair develops the epidermal cells at the base of the tube-like hair follicle. As newly formed cells develop and grow, older cells are pushed toward the surface of the undergo keratinization. A bundle of smooth muscle cells is attached to each hair follicle. Hair follicle is determined by a gene that directs the amount of melanin that melanocytes associated with hair follicles produce. Sebaceous glands. Sebaceous glands are usually associated with hair follicles. Sebaceous glands secrete sebum, which help keep the skin and hair soft and waterproof from nails. Nails are protective coverings on the edge of fingers and toes. Specialized epidermis cells are keratinized to make up nails. The keratin of nails is harder than that produced by the skin's epidermal cells. Sweat glands. Each sweat gland is a coiled tube. Sweat is primarily water, but also contains salt and waste products. Acrine sweat glands respond to the elevated body temperature, whereas apocrine glands respond to emotional stress. Regulation of body temperature. Regulation of body temperature is vital because heat affects the rates of metabolic reactions. The normal temperature of deeper body parts is close to a set point of 37 degrees Celsius. When body temperature rises above the normal set point, dermal blood vessels dilate and sweat glands secrete sweat. If body temperature drops below the normal set point, dermal blood vessels constrict and sweat glands become inactive. Excessive heat loss stimulates skeletal muscles to contract involuntary. Fever results from an elevated temperature set point. Healing of wounds. Dividing epithelial cell fills with shallow cuts in the epidermis. Clots close deeper cuts, sometimes leaving a scar where connective tissue replaces skin. Granulations form a large open wounds as part of the healing process.